We have 38 of them. We are beginning to have states sign up to PWASH, like we said, and to the National Action Plan. But we, like I mentioned at the beginning, we have now a model for rolling out and working on the emergencies in the WASH sector and addressing the WASH issues. Next slide, please. So let's now go into some recommendation. What should we consider doing going forward? I have 4 general recommendations, and I have 6 policy technical areas of recommendation. The first 4 are basic, in the sense that we need to stay focused on the long-term challenges that we face in our sector. We need to address this using the National Action Plan that has been set out and pursue the development objectives. The second is that we need to mainstream the National Action Plan goals in all sectors, working very closely with other sectors and in collaboration with these sectors. Women Affairs has been here today, environment, health, education. We need to work with all sectors to be sure that we're making progress. Of course, I remember that we've also set up these steering committees in the states that has, in some instances, 20 or so agencies of government working together to ensure that we address WASH. We need to bring the lessons from COVID emergency into mainstream development activities and begin now to settle down to phase development activities and get ourselves truly working and taking this necessary. We need to keep the emergency phase on across board. You see, the National Action Plan talks about 3 phases. It talks about the national emergency phase, it talks about the recovery phase, and then the revitalization phase. But to my mind, having the experience of COVID, we need to keep this emergency phase on. All other phases are there. As long as one person in Nigeria still does not have water to drink before going to bed, or wake up in the morning still going to have to defecate in the open, I think it's still an emergency. Next slide, please. So I will speak to the other 6 technical areas and policy issues. I will not bore you with so much of these statistics, but these statistics are coming from the National WASH Norm 2019 and 2018 data. At this point, I want to commend the Honorable Minister for taking the initiative to help the sector to begin to gather information and data and use data to inform decision making. We've not had it this good. We have information that tells us clearly that 28 states of Nigeria, only 28 states have state water. Does it mean that the other states don't have cities and towns? Why are there no water boards in those states? Does it mean the governments are not interested in water for urban people in those states? 16 of those 28 states have functioning utilities. So we have 28 utilities, but 12 of them are not producing water. What's the purpose of a utility if they cannot produce water? We have 36% of our capacity underutilized. In fact, some of them are not even utilized. We have some states, like I mentioned, that have the utilities, they have the infrastructure, no service, no drop of water. As honorable commissioners, this should be a concern for us. We have 8% of our customers metered. Effectively, this will lead, of course, to theft and to loss of income. So it goes back to the fact that if you don't collect money, you cannot maintain the facility. If you cannot maintain the facility, you will not be able to utilize it for the future. And then, of course, 1 in 4 of our boreholes break down. But importantly, households are willing to pay. Next slide, please. The same 2019 data shows us this. There is 3 trillion naira in the national economy coming from households. And this money is going somewhere. Who is it going to? It's not from government. This is coming from households, people paying for water services. If we look at what people are paying for urban water services, it's about 4 billion every year. And if you take out what they are paying for, that blue pie chart you are looking at the bottom, if you take out what they are paying to keep storage, to treat water, and to reticulate their homes, it's about 75% of 44 billion, which is about 3 billion naira. $3 billion rather, in households. Utilities must find a way to tap into this money. The function of a utility is to treat water, to store it, and to transport it. If households are doing it for themselves, it means that some other people are getting that money, not the utility. Utilities must find a way to assess this. So like I said, households are willing to pay, but our utilities are not willing to tax, to bill and to collect revenue. We have had reforms in the sector, and I think this is the greatest point I want to make today. We've had reforms in the telecom sector. We can all see. Those of us who were old enough in the 90s and 20s, we saw what telephone used to be with Nitel. The private sector came in, telephone has changed. All of us have phones in this room today. Seeing what is happening with the water sector in the 2010s, over the last one decade, the power sector is beginning to change. Power is beginning to get a bit more regular in some states, and investment is going to the power sector. I think the water utilities are the next phase of reforms. The 2020s is the phase of the water utility, and I want to encourage council to encourage the takeover of these utilities by private sector entities. It could be by private management, it could be by concession, in whatever form. I'm not proposing that we sell our assets. I'm saying that people who are business-minded should run our utilities. Next slide, please. We have just about 2 more slides to go, so we're almost at the end. Okay, so let me just go on to my paper copy and just talk to, when the slides come, it will come on. I just wanted to illustrate a bit more. Thank you. The next one, please. Why we propose commercialization. So like I said before, these are the figures that I was giving you. 77% of our 77% of the 4 billion spent by households to buy water, is about $3 billion. With 600 million naira, $600 million annually to improve our utilities, which is a fraction of the 3 billion that people are spending to make infrastructure available, to provide self-service for themselves. And of course, is 20% of that amount, like I said, goes out on bills, which is about 1 billion naira. Where does the bill go to? Who are they paying bills? They are paying for electricity because they are running generators to pump their water. They are paying Meruas because they are buying from Merua. Next slide, please. Let me show you something we got from Bauchi. We worked in Kaduna and Bauchi trying to help the utilities to improve revenue collection and set up collection centers. We observed that water utilities in Nigeria are losing over maybe 40%, 50%, in some cases 60% of the water generated and their revenue. And this money goes to private sector, Merua people. If you look at this rough sketch, we find that jerry cans are going for 20 naira, while the utilities are charging 500, 750, or 1,000 naira. By the time we make the calculation of the city, that small box you see there, percentage population, 60% of our people are poor. 30% are living in the middle income areas, and 10% are living in the lower area. This 10% and some of the 30% are the ones buying water from the utilities. Most of the time, there is so little that they are enjoying free service. But the poor people who are buying that service are 20 naira in water, buying water in the Bauchi city. Meanwhile, the utility was collecting only 2 million naira from revenue, while Meruas were getting 14 million. If you calculate that, the utility can be making 87 million every month in the service. To close, I will just say that we need, next slide please. We need to look at capacity building, like we mentioned before, is very important. But one area that we want to emphasize is the strengthening of citizens' participation and mainstreaming WASH through joint sector review. Joint sector reviews are opportunities for WASH to enhance participation and citizens' ownership of services, to make citizens active in the process. If your citizens understand that you have their interest, you take them into consultation and deliberation during decision making. Then they can say, well, I trust this process and I trust this utility. I can put my money behind the utility. We can do that very effectively using joint sector review processes. I want to thank you very much for the opportunity. The last slide just tells us that we need government, state and federal, to pay more attention to investments in capital investments. In India, 22 billion was spent to achieve open defecation-free country within 4 or 5 years. 500 million people were taken out of open defecation. 100 million toilets were built. But the government spent money. The government spent $20 billion of the 22 billion that went into the system. It was shared between federal and state, 60-40. Only 1.5 billion was a loan. I know we are negotiating a loan for $350 million. But
Thank you very much, Jermaine. And I'll particularly draw attention to his last slide, the statement he made. And also, it's this, because this resonates well with paragraph 24, I think, of my opening address, and the statement also reinforced by the Honourable Minister of the Federal Capital Territory. It should be very, very obvious to everybody that whatever we're doing, if the states are not stepping up to up the ante, to be really involved, and they are not investing as they should, all the efforts, the SDGs, the ODF, or whatever you're talking about, we cannot just get there. So I know you honorable commissioners, I know some of your constraints with the chief executives, but you have to be the champions that you are, and be more tenacious, more ingenious, and find ways to cajole your chief executives to do the needful in terms of interventions in the water supply sector, especially this issue of sanitation. We cannot be talking about fighting COVID-19, and we will not be prioritizing water, sanitation, and hygiene. It just doesn't make sense. Although I know there is a lot of skepticism in a lot of places about COVID-19, but the fact is, it is a very real issue, is a very real threat. Only that we're lucky God in His infinite mercies has not made it possible for the pandemic to spread beyond manageable control here. But it is still there. I can assure you that even yesterday we lost a former chief executive, one of the parastatals in this government, a good friend, and there's clear evidence that his death was COVID-19 related. So people are dying. There's no doubt about it. We can be in self-denial, but the truth is there, and you only know when it hits you. So, honorable commissioners and other representatives of state, please and please and please be bold enough to talk to your governors. Be bold enough, put on your plans. If you put a good plan, you put you approach the states appropriately. You can do all the lobbying that you need to do at the appropriate quarters. Your directors of budget, your commissioner of finance, show them the importance of this. You'll get there. If you don't, well, we've seen in so many cases, different states, different situations, that water, sanitation, and hygiene is not too much a cause for concern, or is not a priority issue for many states. And I say this with all sincerity and with a lot of confidence, because up till now, despite the fact that the WASH Action Plan, the ODF campaign was launched last year, still less than 20 states, as far as I know, have keyed in, have gone ahead to declare a state of emergency or are in any way implementing the WASH Action Plan. And there is no way this thing can be done at federal level alone. We cannot do it. It's just not going to be possible. It's not effective. Where are the people? They either stay here. The only people we have is maybe 1.5 to 3 million people in FCT. That's all. The rest is there. So if you at state level do not do the needful, we're sitting here wasting our time. So please take this message home and drive it. I know there is a provision for questions, clarification, and contributions. I think we're running short of time, and I think the presentation has been so clear and lucid. If you have any specific questions, I would suggest that you see Timain on the site, and then you can engage so that we can save some time. So having said that, I think we can now go into the meeting proper at 1:30. We'll probably do the needful and break off for lunch at a certain period. I will look at as the proceedings go, and as the housekeepers tell us, advise us, we'll see at which point to break up for lunch. It wasn't long since we had coffee, so I'm sure there's no hunger pains, pangs in us yet. So let us move on and see how far we can go. And then we can break for lunch for an hour and come back to try to do the needful so that we can finish this meeting at a holy hour and have enough time to socialize in the evening. Okay, so at this point, where is the agenda? Okay, we're staying here on page 13. It includes reading and adoption of minutes of the National Council of Water Resources held on 22nd November 2019 in Mina. Consideration of matters arising. Then we'll break for lunch. And then we come back for presentation of report of the National Technical Committee. Okay, we will see if there is time. Maybe the report can be presented before we go for lunch. But I think I'm looking at a situation where we can have lunch maybe around 2:30 to 3:30. Because if it goes beyond, we should not be having lunch at 4. We'll be coming back for the gala night. Is there a gala night? Yes, there is. And then presentation and adoption of the council communique. Of course, in between we'll deliberate on the memos. So, is there any observation on this agenda? What I don't see is probably AOB, but we can create it if there is any opportunity. We will create a few minutes for any other business in case there are some delegates that want to make a comment or they want to bring in a particular issue. So if there is no objection, can we adopt the agenda? Is that unanimous? Thank you very much. Thank you. So the agenda is adopted, and we can now go on to read the reading and adoption of the minutes. Who is supposed to conduct? You? Oh. I'll take it as read. Yeah, take it as read. Where's the minutes? Okay, we have the minutes in this booklet. I suppose everybody has it. I need to remove these glasses. So this is a document of 109 pages, although there are appendices there. Okay, the minutes are actually 71 pages, I'm told. The rest are attendance and what have you, but even then. So, again, we would like to take the minutes as read, but if there are any corrections, can you bring it to our attention from, I'll start from page 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I know. 8. Okay, I've been told I'm too slow. Page 9. There are so many pages. Page 10. Let me say that if it says typos, you can just make an observation and pass to the Secretariat. But if there is a fundamental issue or something that is not properly captured or there is some kind of misrepresentation, then you can raise your hand to speak. Okay, you're bested. Sorry?
It has been reviewed and corrected for the last 2 days during the technical session. It
Yes,
has to be
but-
reviewed and corrected. So I think,
That was a technical meeting, not the council proper.
oh, not the council proper.
Yes.
So I think what we'll do in view of time, I think if anybody has a correction out of it, then he can forward it. Let's move and adapt.
Yes, that is the point, but we still need to at least go through the motions.
Let's go.
So I'm saying that if there are typo errors, just take it to the secretariat. The secretary is right here with us. But if there is a fundamental error of omission or misrepresentation, then you can raise your hands and bring it to our attention. So I'll move to page 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I want to give more time for the demos. 21, 22, 30, 40. Exactly. 50. 65. 70. 71. Yeah, no. So that will be fine. From page 72 to the end is list of attendance and the communique which was already signed. If you should check if you are here or you are not here and your name is not captured, please report to the secretariat. If your name is captured but is not correct, or your email is not correct, or your phone number is not correct, whatever, please also just hand it over to the secretariat for correction. Any observation on all the pages I called, including the ones I skipped? Okay. No, he's collecting. Well, they're just distributing the minutes.
Well, they were sent by email.
Oh, okay. So in the absence of any correction, somebody move for adoption of the minutes? Bear in mind that at least your state needs to have been here at the last meeting. Motion for adoption. Gombe? Please, if you need to speak, maybe you'll be raising your nameplate, please.
The chairman in council and members, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, in the absence of any correction or any observation, I, Engineer Yahaya, Honorable Commissioner, Water Resources, Gombe State, hereby move for the adoption of the minutes of the meeting. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, and seconded by Niger State. Thank you very much. So the minutes are adopted. No gavel for me because I'm not a honorable member. Okay, so we'll consider the matters arising. I think Mrs. Ojaru should be the one to Okay, Alice, can you? He's in one of those papers. Please, gentlemen and ladies of the rear, there is so much noise coming from that side. Huh? Thank you very much. So we'll go to matters arising. And I would like to ask the Director, Water Resources Planning and Technical Support Services, Mrs. Alice Ajo, to take us through as quickly as possible, but without losing substance.
Thank you, my Honorable Minister. Good afternoon, all the Honorable Commissioners in the House, my amiable Permanent Secretary. I'm going to read matters arising from the 26th regular meeting of the National Council on Water Resources held in Mina 2019. As at that meeting at Mina, for those that were there, and the information that is before you, we have 16 action memos at that session. And I'm going to take them one by one. Please, at the back, why don't we maintain silence so that we'll be able to know what is happening here? Because we have other official assignment, I'm not going to read the whole content of the matters arising. I'm sure all of you have the copy. Honorable Commissioners, please, do you have a copy of the matters arising? Do you have copies? This document. Okay. If you agree with me, I'm going to mention the title of the action memo taken at the last session. Then I will go to the summary of the action taken. Do you agree with me? Thank you very much. Action number 1 of the 2019-26 session is memorandum on the recent flooding in Nigeria and the need to construct more dams. Summary of action taken after our deliberations yesterday is efforts were ongoing towards the systematic construction of new dams on rivers Niger, Benue, and their tributaries. The department had been assigned for contracts for construction of Gurara 2 multipurpose dam project. This dam on completion will generate 360 megawatts of hydro power. The department also, because this action is supposed to be taken by Department of Dams, the Dam Department has also awarded contract for the construction of Farinua multipurpose dam with capacity for 20 megawatts of hydro power. The ministry, through the department, has signed a memorandum of understanding for the construction of ETC multipurpose dam with Kaduna State government. Action number 2 of the 26th session is memorandum to seek approval of the National Council on Water Resources for the Federal Ministry of Water Resources to seek approval of the Federal Executive Council and National Economic Council for effective utilization of impounded water in dam reservoir across the country. We are still on dams matters arising. The summary after our yesterday's deliberation is that the ministry, through the Department of Dams and Reservoir Operations, had engaged the Enugu and Imo state governments on the effective utilization of Adada and Amaziri dams. It was hoped that as soon as COVID-19 fully abates, the department will organize a national stakeholder with river basin development authorities and other state governments. Therefore, the ministry shall seek the intervention of National Economic Council for effective utilization of our dam reservoirs. Action number 3 is on the need for mandatory capacity enhancement program in the water sector. All states are involved. And who is driving the process is the National Water Resources Institute. The information received at our technical session is that induction costs for new entrants into the sector was ongoing. Modules and cost structures for the other level programs were being reversed, developed, and finalized. Also, funding provision made in the 2021 appropriation towards implementation program. That is to say that in 2021, there is a provision for them to improve and build the capacity of stakeholders on that action. Action number 4 is on the conduct of institutional assessment for capacity development of state water agencies in the country. It's also still under the Institute. The report we got is that the National Water Resources Institute has provided some funds in 2020 appropriation towards completing institutional assessment for one state of the rural water supply and sanitation agencies in the country. The second is that the background information collected for the field work was undertaken, and also funding provision has been made in the 2021 budget appropriation towards initiating and implementing the conduct of institutional assessment in the state water agencies nationwide. Action number 5 is on the need to equip the hydrological modeling center of the agency for improved operational hydrological activities and services. The action taken is the model center was equipped with the following: 1, server composed of power edge T640, inlet, exxon, silver, and optical operation was established. Precision tower of 3000 series was also established. Desktop computers was also established. Software were also established. Training of NISA staff was held between 12th to 16 October 2020 on the use of SW80 hydrological modeling. You can see that despite the COVID-19 pandemic, a lot of activities were really executed. Number 6 is on the implementation of programs towards reduction in greenhouse gas emission in the sector, in line with the nationally determined contribution bottom, that is NDC. What is the information received? That carried meetings with nominees from all technical departments of the ministry, where the achievements received is that a template was developed and disseminated to all the stakeholders to provide information on activities from their various subsectors for the greenhouse gas emission inventory. They had also commenced to populate the template in accordance with the United Nations Framework Convention and on climate change, that is under the UNFCCC standard procedures. They had also, during the meetings, that it was observed and agreed that there is need for the training of the representatives of the technical departments on how to estimate the greenhouse gas emissions from their various sector-specific emission calculated from their activities. Action number 7 is on the need for the robust national stakeholder sensitization and engagement program on the proper understanding of the National Water Resources Bill. What has been done on it? The Honorable Minister of Water Resources had, in the recent past, organized media briefing to sensitize members of the public on the benefits, the desires of the National Water Resources Bill. For example, in September, a media program was jointly organized with the Honorable Minister of Information and the Honorable Minister of Water Resources. Also, the Honorable Minister appeared before the National Assembly Committee on Water Resources to make clarification of some provisions for the bill that have been generating controversies, especially the relief in some quarters that the bill was a substantive way of reintroducing RUGA program. You know, a lot of controversies that the water bill is not good for us because they are trying to reinvent the RUGA. But the Honorable Minister was able to synthesize and also educate the National Assembly that it is not for that, but it's for the purpose of developing water resources to deliver the service, especially making provision of that available service to the nation. The Honorable Minister had conducted a high-level advocacy with Media Governors Forum a few months ago. Consequently, it was resolved among others that copies of the bill should be forwarded to the States Attorney General with emphasis to study the bill and submit their position to the Federal Ministry of Water Resources. In addition to that, the Nigeria Integrated Water Resources Management Commission had equally commenced nationwide sensitization and advocacy campaign in the 36 states of the Federation and Federal Capital Territory to enlighten the general public to have a better understanding of the provisions of the bill, the scope, and the operational objective that will encourage public participation towards its speedy passage. Also, the Commission had conducted interactive sessions on media organizations like radio, television, newspaper, social media, civil society organizations, webinar meetings, other platforms on the importance of the National Water Resources Bill. Plans have been put in place to take the sensitization to the grassroots. Not only that, even some professional bodies like Nigeria Society of Engineers have been also creating awareness and endorsing what the ministry is presenting on the water bill. There was a visit to the Honorable Minister, and they all agreed to support that water bill is being accepted, and speedily passage will be very helpful for better development of the water resources. Number 8 is on the assessment of current utilization of water resources, infrastructure in river basin in Nigeria. What was done? Water users and distance to points of usage have been identified, created a comprehensive database for users of the water infrastructure, ensure the protection of the environmental and sustainability of the infrastructure, completion of the next phase of the project, which was water footprint of the selected states in the 8 hydrological areas, and the final report had been submitted by the consultant. the database was being developed and will be completed in 2021 as provisions have been made in the budget of the Commission. Action number 9 is on the need for harmonization of the efforts towards the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals in the water sector. What have we done in that area? The ministry was able to strengthen the core team on tracking the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goal in the water sector. The meeting of the National Core to develop an harmonized framework and action plan for tracking of SDG in the sector was held in June 2020. The core team in turn set up a technical committee to develop the framework and stroke action plan with a view of harmonizing all the SDG related activities in the sector. Also as a follow-up, a 2-day meetings was held and harmonized all the framework and action plan. The draft is in the pipe, is being processed, and the team is now arranging for a next meeting to finalize the draft framework for tracking the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goal. Action number 10 is on the comprehensive National Irrigation Development Plan for Nigeria. That is towards food security. What was the department able to do? The state government have been encouraged to produce and forward to the Federal Ministry of Water Resources their irrigation development plans to be incorporated into the National Irrigation Plan. Reminders is hereby sent to the states and identify private establishments to do so that we'll be able to have a comprehensive national irrigation plan to ensure that there is food security for the population of Nigeria. Action number 11 is on the need for protection of acquired irrigation land against encroachment. What has been done? The Federal Ministry of Water Resources has commenced the boundary survey of its irrigation schemes nationwide in collaboration with the survey unit of the ministry, starting with the following irrigation schemes. 1. Gurara Indication Project. 2. Midurima Value Irrigation Project. Action number 12 is on the compilation, updating and publication of the history of irrigation and drainage in Nigeria. What has been done? Next study of traditional irrigation methods dating back to the pre-colonial era was presently ongoing. The Sub-Technical Committee on Irrigation, Drainage and Agriculture had tasked its members to submit their report before the next meeting of National Council on Water. Much has not been done, but they have already charged themselves to ensure that in the next council, they should submit their report. Action number 13. Number 13 is the development review of wash policy at the federal and state levels. What have we done? At the federal level, the water and sanitation policy is undergoing review through urban sector reform project at the stage of procuring a consultant to support the process. However, this was put on hold as the urban reform was coming to a close. So the option of completing the exercise in the new urban wash would be explored. Action number 14 is on the increased budgetary provision and prompt release of funds for disaster risk reduction and effective wash in emergency working. What has been done? This is an action to be taken by the states, not only the federal government. However, we know that most states have not yet established budgetary lines for WASH in emergency working group, and few states like in Yobe and Borno had established and did not record cholera indices last year. I think this is for all of us. It is important that we try to implement this action for the well-being of our people. Action number 16. I've read the 14. I've read the 15. I think I'm on the last one, which is the 16. Huh? You have not read it. Okay. Thank you very much. It's like I want us to finish early. That's why I'm trying to skip some of those actions. Mr. Chairman, sir, sorry, I will take it. Action number 15 is on increased budgetary provision okay. Effective water, sanitation, and hygiene services. Please, I'm sorry, the reason why I'm reading it like that is that what I have here, like that, even though it's number 14, but it's 15, that is why it's like I'm skipping some. It's number 15, but the action that we're dealing with is 16. By my own, yes, by the document that is here. It's number 15, but it's action number 16. Am I right? Okay. Huh? Yes. See it.
This is 15.
Okay. Thank you very much, my chairman. It's on the services, that is e-wash program. What has been done? Only 11 states had declared a state of emergency on WASH. 15 states had declared, I think, only 15 states had declared a state of emergency on WASH, namely Ondo, Ekiti, Osun, Taraba, Delta, Ebonyi, Bauchi, Plateau, Jigawa, Benue, Katsina, Imo, Niger, Anambra, and Enugu states. The following states had reviewed their WASH policies and laws: Ekiti, Plateau, Taraba, Niger, Lagos, Ondo, Enugu, Bauchi, Delta, Imo, Anambra, and Abia states. This is to say that out of 36 states, including FCT, we have the report of 15 states that have carried out this necessary assignment on emergency WASH. So the states that have not implemented this, please, you are encouraged to do so, because it's very important for the well-being of our people. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. This is our 26th session of National Council on Water Resources.
Thank you very much, Alice. Ladies and gentlemen, at the back of the hall, this is a very serious meeting. This is the highest decision-making body on water resources in this country. We are here on a very serious business, but there's too much noise at the back there. You are distracting us to bring up this presentation or report of the National Technical Committee on Water Resources forward. We'll give the Permanent Secretary about 20 minutes to make the presentation. And then at 2:30 we'll break for lunch. But we come back at exactly 3:30 to discuss the memoranda that are before us, which I hope we'll be able to conclude around 6 p.m. so that I can have time to go and freshen up and get ready for the evening. So, and I would appeal for your cooperation in that regard when we come to deliberate on the council memos. So, Madam Permanent Secretary, please begin with the presentation of the report of the technical committee in the next 20 minutes so that we can break for lunch. I'll have some summary of 5 minutes and then we'll break for lunch at 2:30. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairman of Council. This is a report of the 27th National Technical Committee on Water Resources, held at the West African College of Physicians Conference Center, Gadua Estate, Abuja. Introduction. The 27th regular meeting of the National Technical Committee on Water Resources was held at the West African College of Physicians Conference Center, Gadua Estate, Abuja, from Monday, November 30th to Tuesday, December 1st, 2020, with the theme, Managing Water Resources in Crisis, the Nigerian Experience. The meeting had the following sub-themes: pre-COVID-19, post-COVID-19, and integrated water resources management. The meeting was chaired by the Permanent Secretary